Hi all, welcome to Excel's Rapid Focus series. In this series, we are going to discuss the most important chapters, topics and questions from it. I'm your math faculty, Fairul here. Today, we are going to discuss the small chapter but important chapter. You can easily score marks from this chapter. The chapter name is Inverse Trigonometric Functions. And when we are diving into this chapter, you have to know this one thing that will help you to answer 99% of these chapters, questions from this chapter. That is the domain and range of these inverse trigonometric functions. I hope you all know this one because this table is already in your textbook. I think in your classrooms, teachers is already discussed so many times this thing, because if you don't know this, you will not able to answer 99% of the questions. So listen, just take a screenshot if you don't have this. And I'm not going to explain each and everything while we are explaining the questions. I will take each and everything from here and I will explain it there. Okay. But before that, I have to compare this domain and range with the trigonometric functions domain and range. So that help you to understand the question, that help you to answer the question. Listen, usually if there is a function, the domain of the function is A to B and the range is B, okay? And F inverse will be what? B to A. So listen very carefully, if a function is from A to B, then F inverse will be from B to A. The domain and range will be swapped. So for an inverse trigonometric function, the domain and range of trigonometric function is swapped. That should happen, but there is a small catch. Listen here. So this is the domain and range of trigonometric function. What is it? You can see the domain: real number minus multiples of pi, real number minus odd multiples of pi by 2. I think you know this from 11th grade. Okay. So usually what should happen? This is the domain and range of trigonometric function. This should be swapped for this one. So actually all this range become the domain of inverse trigonometric function. You can see that's happened. But the problem is the domain is not become the range. Here you can see a different set of range. This is not swapped. What did I say here? The domain and range should be what? Swapped for all the inverse trigonometric functions. Yeah, that's true. I think you all know there is an invertibility part in relations and function. There also we know that if a function is inverted, the domain and range is swapped. But here it's not happened. The range is transformed into domain for inverse trigonometric function, but the domain is not. Why? Why does that happen? The answer for that is all invertible functions are bijective. All invertible functions are bijective. I think you all know what is bijective from the chapter relations and functions. Bijective means what? Bijective means what? This should be 1, 1 and onto. So we have to know our function. Our function is what? Our trigonometric function is one bijective or not. Trigonometric function. Trigonometric function. So I'll give you an example here. What is the value of sine pi by 6? Hope you all know that is 1 by 2. Okay. What is the value of sine pi minus pi by 6? So sine pi minus pi by 6. I think you all know what is sine pi minus x. Sine pi minus x is sine x. So that sine pi minus pi by 6 is sine pi by 6. So this is also what? Sine pi by 6 also what? 1 by 2. So when you cross multiply this, what you will get? Sine 5 pi by 6. Yeah, very good. So you can see for the value pi by 6 you are getting 1 by 2. So the value for the value 5 pi by 6 also you are getting what? 1 by 2. So when we draw the arrow diagram, there is pi by 6, there is 5 pi by 6. So actually this set is real numbers. So the domain of sine function is a real number. You can put any real number, but I am only just writing what? 2 numbers only. Then there is 1 by 2 in the codomain. Pi by 6 is directed to what? 1 by 2. 5 pi base is also directed to what? 1 by 2. So two values of x is sharing one value of y. It's not onto, it's not what? It's not onto. Yeah, it's not onto. So if it's not onto, it's not bijective. It's not bijective. So what happened? Our trigonometric function is not bijective function, so it's not invertible, isn't it? What did I say? All invertible functions are bijective. So our trigonometric function is not bijective. So is it not invertible? Yeah, actually for this domain, it's not invertible. For this domain, it's not invertible. So we are going to take some restricted domain. So real number is a big set of elements is there, set of numbers is there. So from that we just reduce the domain into what? Minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. So in this interval only, the sine function will not give you this repeated value. There is multiple interval, but we only choose this one. We'll call it principal branch. We'll call it what? Principal branch. So all the domains are cut shorted into what happened? Cut shorted and reduced into a restricted domain that will not give you multiple answers, same answers for multiple values. If you will not get same answers for multiple values, this will become bijective. So that restricted domain is shown here. The restricted domain for the trigonometric function is shown here. That's why this domain is not copied here. Instead of that, what we have done, we have restricted the domain. Why did we restrict the domain? If we restrict the domain, then only the function become bijective. If a function is bijective, then only that function is invertible. So we restricted the domain. Now the trigonometric function is bijective, so we can invert that. Now we got inverse trigonometry. Then only we will get inverse trigonometry. So make sure that you know these values. You can compare this. You can see here. The range of sine inverse function is closed interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. For tan, it is what? Open interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. And cosec, it is what? Closed interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. But we are subtracted what? Set to 0. The 0 is subtracted. Why? Cosec is, you know what? 1 by sine, right? 1 by sine inverse. Sorry, 1 by sine. Cosec is 1 by sine. So when sine becomes 0, denominator becomes 0. So you are not allowed to put what? 0 in there. That's why the 0 is removed from it. So the range of cos inverse is what? Minus, sorry, it's not minus. It's 0. It's 0. It's 0. It's 0 to pi. The range is from 0 to pi. Okay. If you took the screenshot before, that is not negative 0. You know, 0, just 0. 0 to pi. And closed interval 0 to pi. We are subtracting pi by 2 because at that time cos becomes 0. So cosec is 1 by cos. Cos becomes 0 means what? It becomes not defined for pi by 2. So that's why we removed, subtracted pi by 2 from it. And for cot inverse, it's open interval 0 to pi. So it's easy to understand. And listen, for tan and cot real number, all the numbers we can put as a domain, as a value of x. And for sine and cos, it's minus 1 to 1. For cosec and sec, all real numbers, but we subtract numbers between minus 1 and 1. We will not put any value for cos inverse and sine inverse between minus 1 to 1. Minus 1 is included, 1 is included in the domain, but between minus 1 and 1, no numbers we are going to take. Okay, so these are the ideas that you have to know to answer the questions. Okay, so listen, if you don't know the domain and range of a trigonometric function, sometimes you will get answer, but the answer is not acceptable. The answer will be, yeah, it's right, sine 5 pi by 6 is what? 1 by 2. So yeah, I got the value 5 pi by 6, but sometimes we are not able to use that. I will explain why it is in the next things. So we can go for the first question. It's an assertion and reason question. Most of the assertion and reason questions in the math question paper is all based on the concepts. So we just explained a little bit concept about this chapter. So now we are going for an assertion reason question. What is the question? All trigonometric functions have their inverse as over their respective domain. Listen, this is the domain of trigonometric functions. This is their respective domain. What is the respective domain? This is their domain. The respective domain they said before, that is this one. Is it invertible for its respective domain? No, we restricted the domain, isn't it? Then only we got the inverse. So here you can see what? All trigonometric functions have their inverse over their respective domain. No, for their respective domain we don't have the inverse. We restricted the domain to get the inverse. So the assertion is false. The inverse of tan inverse x exists for some x belongs to real number. So you can take, they're just asking you what? Is it allowed to take x from real number for tan inverse x? Yeah, the domain of tan inverse x, you can see what is any real number. You can take any real number for x. So what is it? This one is true. So answer, assertion is false, reason is true. This is your answer. Okay, easy question. If you understood the table, if you understood all the in trigonometric functions is not directly inverted, we restricted the domain, then only we inverted. If you know that logic, if you know the domain of tan inverse x, you can answer this question. Okay, so our next question, you can see every function is invertible. Assertion and reason is what? Only bijective functions are invertible. What is it? Yeah, we know that only bijective functions are invertible. Not all the functions are invertible. If a function is bijective, then only we can invert it. That's why we restricted the domain to get a bijective function or make it a make the trigonometric function bijective function. So I think you got that. So assertion again false, reason is true. Assertion false, reason is true. Okay. So the next question is, the domain of sine inverse 2x is what? So first of all, instead of sine inverse 2x, we have 2x here. What is the domain of sine inverse x? What is the domain of sine inverse x? Domain of sine inverse x is between -1 to 1. Okay, you know that. And what is the range? We don't need range here, but for studying, I'm just writing here. Listen. But instead of sine x, now we have what? 2x. It is 2x, 3x, 5x, whatever it is, the domain should be what? -1 to 1. The thing inside this parameter column, this thing inside sine inverse, the thing inside sine inverse should be from -1 to 1. Understood? So here we have to write 2x should be between -1 to 1, -1 to 1. Yes or no? So actually we need to, the domain means what are the values we can put for the value x. So instead of this 2x, we have to get x because the domain is what? The value that we can put for x. So from this 2x, we have to build what? X. So what we can do, we can divide this entire equation with 2. So this 2 cancels. You will get -1 by 2 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 1 by 2. Then x belongs to closed interval -1 by 2 to 1 by 2. So which option? Closed interval -1 by 2 to 1 by 2. Yeah, we can go for next question. Same kind of question, but little more of calculation we need. The domain of y is equal to cos inverse x square minus 4 is what? So listen very carefully. So what is the domain of cos inverse x? Cos inverse, the domain of cos inverse is what? It's also from where? -1 to 1, and range is what? Range is between closed interval 0 to pi. So this thing inside, whatever the thing you are putting inside this cos inverse, should be between where? -1 to 1. So x square minus 4 is between -1 to 1. That is the thing inside the cos inverse. But what is the, they ask for the domain. Domain means what? The values we can put for x. So we have to build 4 from it. Sorry, x from it. So what do you have to do? We have to, this is your expression. We have a -4 here. To cancel that, we have to add a 4 here. So I have to add for all the sides. So now what you will get? Tell me. You will get 3 less than or equal to x square less than or equal to 5. Ready? Now we need to take what? Square root. While we are taking square root, we need to do a little more of calculation. What is it? Listen. While we are taking square root, the x may be plus or minus value. This x can be plus value or minus value. So that, listen, while we are taking square root, entire square root, this 3 become what? Root 3. This x become what? X. X square become what? X. While we are taking square root, this will become root 5. So we can put it here like this. But this x also can become negative values, can get negative values. That are what? Minus root 3 and minus root 5 and x. But the problem is, which one is the smaller one? This is the smaller one. This is the smaller one. So we have to write it like what? This is the smaller one and this is the bigger one. So answer, final answer will be like what? Negative root 5 to what? Negative root 3 closed interval union. Here it is what? Root 3 to root 5. Root 3 to root 5. So listen, which option? But there should be a negative in front of it. So what is it? Closed interval minus root 5 to minus root 3. That is this interval. That is this interval. And union root 3 to root 5. Come, listen here again. When you're putting square root in any inequality, there is two possibilities, a negative possibility and positive possibility. So when you're taking square root, you will get what? Root 3, root 5 and x. Also there is a possibility negative root 3, negative root 5, because square of negative root 3 and square of root 3 both are same, both are same. So we have to consider that. So the option is what? D here. Okay. Next one, next question. Listen. The domain of the function sine inverse 2x. So we can go for that first. So it's sec inverse, right? So sec inverse. What is the domain of sec inverse? Domain of sec inverse is real number minus upper interval minus 1 to 1. And I'm just writing the range also. What is the range of it? It's closed interval 0 to pi. We are subtracting pi by 2 from it. And the thing inside it, this thing, the 2x should be between what? So I'm just writing this in a different way. What is it? Real number minus 1 to 1. That means for all the real numbers from minus infinity to infinity, a small part between minus 1 to 1 is not considering. That's what happening. So we can consider this part and this part. What is this part? It's like minus infinity to minus 1. Minus 1 is included in the domain and 1 to infinity. So union of this. Actually, this is the expanded version of the domain of sec inverse. Okay. So your 2x will be between this. So minus infinity, we have to do this in two way. First way, start from where? Minus infinity is the smallest one and your 2x will be between that, less than or equal to minus 1, and this part is what? 1 is the smallest one and your 2x should be between that and infinity. So we don't need 2x, we'll go half of that. So half of 2x is x. Half of infinity, we'll write negative infinity also. We don't know what is infinity. It's a big, very small value because it is a negative is there. So half of minus 1 is minus 1 by 2. Half of this 1 by 2 x and infinity itself. So this interval we can write it like minus infinity to closed interval 1 by 2 union 1 by 2 to infinity. Okay. Is there an option? Yeah, minus infinity to minus 1 by 2 union 1 by 2 to infinity. So that's there. And next one, sec inverse of minus 2 is minus 1 by minus pi by 4. Listen, you can see the range of sec inverse is from 0 to pi. So what is 0 to pi? Let me show you what is 0 to pi. Just listen here. It's 0, it's pi by 2, it's pi. So this value, the range will be from where to where? This to this, 0 to pi, but who is not there? Pi by 2 is not there. Where is this minus pi by 4 lies? Minus pi by 4 is here. So the range says that the value for any sec, function between 0 to pi but not pi by 2. But they said the value of sec inverse minus 2 is what? Minus pi by 4. So it's here. No, it's not allowed. 0 to pi by 2, positive direction. This negative pi by 4 is negative direction. So reason is false, assertion is true. A is true or it's false. We can go to the next question. Okay, next one, a different. Now I think you guys understood the idea of domain and range. Now we are going for different kind of questions. Okay, listen. Finding the principal values. Principal values means the value should lie within the range, the principal branch, the range I shown before. The value of that inverse trigonometric function should lie between that interval, the range interval I shown in the table. So listen. The principal value of cot inverse minus root 3. So whatever we have to know what is the domain and range of cot inverse. So the domain is real number. You can put any real number for what? Cot inverse. But the range is, it's got open interval 0 to pi. Ready? So whatever the value you are getting, that should be lie between 0 to pi. What is 0 to pi? Let me show you. The last question I shown 0, pi by 2, pi, 3 pi by 2, 2 pi. So this is the interval 0 to pi. 0 is not included, pi is not included. The value for this cot inverse minus root 3 should lie between 0 to pi. 0 is not included, pi is not included. Anyway, we can answer it. So y is equal to, we'll start like this. If you want to find the value, we'll start like this. Y is equal to cot inverse minus root 3. So I'm taking this cot to this side. What you will get? Cot y is equal to minus root 3. So when you get root 3 for cot pi by 6 is what? Root 3, just root 3. So pi by 6 is here. Ready? So if it is here, same like this is pi by 6, it will be negative because in second quadrant cot is negative. First quadrant everybody is what? Positive. So you need a negative value. So what do you need? If you need negative root 3, what do you have to do? You have to go for the second quadrant. So when you're putting pi by 6, you are getting what? When you're putting pi by 6, you're getting what? Root 3. But that's from first quadrant. You need negative value. So you have to go for what? Pi by 6 here. So we will not measure angle like this. We'll measure from here. From here to here. Actually, from here to this entire half rotation is pi. And we will not go this much, this distance. We're not going this distance. So what we have to write? To write pi minus pi by 6. This pi by 6 part is reduced. That's where you will get negative root 3. Here you will get what? Positive root 3. Here you will get what? Negative root 3. Pi minus pi by 6. That's how I get what? Pi minus pi by 6. When you cross multiply it, what you will get? Cot of 6 into pi. 6 pi minus pi. 5 pi by 6 is equal to negative root 3. So take the cot to that side. What you will get? 5 pi by 6 is equal to what? Cot inverse of negative root 3. So cot inverse of negative root 3 is what? 5 pi by 6. Option D. Option D. Wonderful. Okay. So we can go forward. Next question. Listen. Sine of pi minus sine inverse minus 1 by 2 is equal to. So we need to find the value of that. That's it. Find the value of that. Okay. Y is equal to, the question is what? Sine of pi by 3 minus sine inverse of minus 1 by 2. Okay. So what is the domain and range of sine inverse? Again, you need that. Domain and range of sine inverse. What is the domain? It's from minus 1 to 1. And the range is between minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. So where is this minus pi by 2 to pi by 2? Where is this minus pi by 2 to pi by 2? It's 0, it's pi by 2, it's positive direction. If it goes in negative direction, you will get what? Negative pi by 2. So your sine value will be between these two. Okay, anyway, first of all, you need this value. What is it? Sine inverse minus 1 by 2. Ready? I'm calling it theta. So I'm getting sine to this side, you will get sine theta is equal to minus 1 by 2. Ready? When you will get 1 by 2 for sine, when you put pi by 6, you will get what? 1 by 2. So where is it? Here it is pi by 6. Here it is pi by 6. But you need negative. So first quadrant everybody is positive. So you have to go to where? Fourth quadrant. At there you will get negative pi by 6. At there you will get minus 1 by 2. So sine of negative pi by 6 is what? Negative 1 by 2. So you will get minus pi by 6 as sine negative 1 by 2. Usually you don't need to do all these calculations for this question. You can directly answer it because sine 1 by 2 is what? Pi by 6. Ready? Sine negative 1 by 2. If you know the range, it should be at the fourth quadrant. In the negative direction, you have to write minus pi by 6 for negative 1 by 2. So from that, we are going to answer what? What is the, listen, y will be equal to sine of pi by 3 minus sine inverse minus 1 by 2 minus sine inverse minus 1 by 2. Sine inverse minus 1 by 2 is what? Minus pi by 6. So y is equal to what? Sine pi by 3 plus pi by 6, which is equal to, pi by 3 means 60 degree and pi by 6 means 30 degree. 60 degree plus 30 degree is what? 90 degree. We can write it in radian measure. It's sine pi by 2. It's sine pi by 2. What is the value of sine pi by 2 is 1. So which option? Option D. Okay. Hope you understood. We can go for the next question without wasting the time. So listen. Listen. The next question is what? The value of sine inverse cos 13 pi by 5. The value of sine inverse of cos 13 pi by 5. So I'm writing it as y. Y is equal to what? Sine inverse of cos 13 pi by 5. And what is the range of sine? What is the range of sine? Here the range is what? Minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Range is from minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Okay, so because the function outside is sine inverse and the range of the outside function is the range of this entire equation. So what is the range? Minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. The answer you are going to get should be between what? Minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Okay, anyway, we can check what it is. So here you can see sine inverse. I'm going to calculate the value of cos 13 pi by 5, the thing inside it first. Okay, so first of all, cos 13 pi by, how many 5 is there in 13? 2. So 2 pi plus, if 2 5 is there, that's 10, but you need 13, right? So you have a remainder what? 3. So we will write by 3 pi by 5. When you cross multiply it, what you will get? 5 into 2, 10 pi plus 3 pi, 13 pi by 5. So it will be like cos. So if there is a multiples of 2 pi, 4 pi, 6 pi, negative 2 pi, negative 100 pi, everything is multiples of 2 pi. You can just eliminate it. You will get what? 3 pi by 5. 3 pi by 5. So instead of cos 13 pi by 5, you can use what? 3 pi by 5. But we have to convert this cos into sine. How we can do that? We have an equation what? Sine pi by 2 minus x is what? Cos x. Okay, so this is cos x. You can write it like sine pi by 2 minus, instead of x we have 3 pi by 5. So when you cross multiply it, what you will get? 5 into pi, 5 pi, 2 into 6, 2 into 3, 6 pi, by 2 into 5, 10. So what you will get? Sine minus pi by 10. Instead of cos 13 pi by 5, we are going to use what? Sine negative pi by 10. Both are same value. You will get the same value. So what's your y? Y is equal to sine inverse of cos of 13 pi by 5. Cos of 13 pi by 5 is what? Sine of negative pi by 10. Here we are going to apply a property. What is that property? Sine of sine inverse of x and sine inverse of sine x, both are equal. These x sine and sine inverse will be cancelled, and sine inverse and sine will be cancelled, but there is a thing. Look at this. Who is outside? Sine. So this should be belongs to minus 1 to 1. This x should be belongs to what? Minus 1 to 1, because the range of sine should be there. The range of sine is what? Minus 1 to 1. Here outside, who is it? Sine inverse. So x should belongs to where? The range of sine inverse is what? From minus pi by 10. Anything outside this, you can cancel these two. You have to convert that into that x into this interval, then only you can cancel sine inverse and sine. Here you can see minus pi by 10. Here we will cancel these two because y is equal to minus pi by 10 is belongs to minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. This is a negative number bigger than minus pi by 2. Bigger than minus pi by 2. So here minus pi by 2 is here, pi by 2 is here, and 0 is there. So minus pi by 10 should be somewhere here, minus pi by 10. Okay, so it belongs to this interval, therefore which option? B is your option. Okay, all. So shall we go to the next one? Listen, the principal value of tan inverse of tan 3 pi by 5. So you can see, whenever you see this one, sir, we can cancel this, right? No, what did I said before? Listen, who's outside? Tan inverse is outside. Here who's outside? Sine inverse is outside. So the answer should be within the range of sine inverse. So the answer for after cancelling this, the answer should be within the range of tan inverse. So here you can see y is equal to tan inverse of tan 3 pi by 5. So what is the range of tan? In this question, what is the range of tan? It's open interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. So listen, is this value between this interval? Yes or no? Is this value between this interval? What is this value? 3 pi by 5. 3 pi I calculate like it's 180 into 3, it's 540, isn't it? And 3 pi by 5 is what? 540 by 5, it's 108. And this interval is open interval minus 90 to 90. Definitely 108 is not between this. Minus pi by 2 to pi by 2 means in degree measure it's minus 92 plus 90. It's not in it. Where is it? Listen very carefully. This is how I answer this. Here you can see Your range is from minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. You can have the values in first quadrant and fourth quadrant in the negative direction, but you have 108. It's here. It's here. Your value lies there. What's your value? 3 pi by 5. So this is your 3 pi by 5. This is your 3 pi by 5. Listen, in this quadrant, tan is negative. Here it's positive. Here it's negative. So which quadrant you can choose? You're not allowed to choose this quadrant because your range is only in these two quadrants. You're not allowed to use this quadrant because it's positive. You're only allowed to choose the value here. Ready? So I need this angle. How do I get this? What is this angle? That will be this angle. What is that angle? Tell me. Combining 3 pi by 5 and this angle x, you will get what? Pi. So x will be what? Pi minus 3 pi by 5. So you will get what? 2 pi by 5. Your x is what? 2 pi by 5. So this angle is 2 pi by 5, but I need that in this direction. Here at the fourth quadrant, it's negative 2 pi by 5. Ready? So what we can write? Y is equal to tan inverse of tan of, instead of 3 pi by 5 in this quadrant, I can choose here, that will give the same value, that is minus 2 pi by 5. So now you can confidently cancel it. Why? Because your answer is minus 2 pi by 5. This is belongs to where? Belongs to open interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Which option? Minus 2 pi by 5. This one. And here you can say 3 pi by 5 is not belongs to open interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Okay. So these are the questions you can expect from the domain range concept using thing. The rest of the questions will be discussed in the part 2. See you in part 2. Study well. Bye bye.